What's up, fam? Welcome to Birds of a Feather, live from the Real Talk Studios on A2DRadio.com. Coming at you on Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Chrome and Chucks. Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. Special guest this week, Mr. Rob Lutman.
Hello, hello.
There it is. We got a lot to talk about, guys. We are brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountants. It's tax season, guys. Check them out. Find them. Find them on the web, gibsonmayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. They have physical buildings in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey. Or you can also find them on the web at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question, scanzanosports.com. How confident are you in Howie Roseman going into the 2019 season? Extremely confident, mostly confident, somewhat concerned, serious doubts. Got a lot of cap issues to worry about. I'm sure they're going to work their way out, boys. But let's let our guest kick off the conversation this week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How you feeling about Howie and the job that he's going to have ahead of him this offseason?
I think he's got some big shoes to fill here.
Yeah.
It's, with our season last year was pretty much a disappointment, I think.
Yeah.
We lucked out towards the end of the season.
Okay.
Nobody was expecting that, to have that little run into the playoffs. Could have been promising. But that being said, the beginning of the season didn't look too good. We didn't have wide receiver. We had running back issues. The defense wasn't shored up. We were old at offensive tackle. So we're definitely going to need some positions to fill here. And, he's going to have to make some hard choices. Of how he wants to proceed, where he wants to spend money, and it all depends who we pick up. I'm not really looking too confident in our draft because our history is showing
Howie's history isn't very good with the draft.
It's not, So with the draft, I'm not really counting on that. So we're going to be looking at what free agents. Okay, so who are the free agents out there that we're going to be able to pick up, and are we really going to go do it, or we going to go with the old of what we had?
Okay.
Are we going to bring Peters back?
I don't think so. I think Peters is gone.
Kelsey, he's teeter-totting whether he's going to retire or not. I mean, that's two leaders in the locker room right there.
That's a big hit.
And what are you going to do with that?
And especially with Brandon Brooks getting hurt and being out for the season or the majority of the season at the very best case scenario. That was a huge loss for the offensive line. So I would agree with you in a lot of ways. In that instance, I don't think Jason Peters comes back, whether he decides to retire or whether he's a cap casualty. Unfortunately, it's a necessary move that they're going to have to make. There's been a lot of loyalty. He's been paid handsomely here to play for this team, and he's had a Super Bowl. But it comes time where you have to move on and put the organization first. So I don't think Jason Peters is going to be a worry. There was a report that I read today that Kelsey is leaning more towards coming back, and a decision could come fairly soon. So that would be huge because I agree with you. Losing both of those voices in the locker room would be a huge hit on the offensive line.
Kelsey can still play.
He can. He's only 31.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
he's younger than we are, guys.
Right, he is.
Yeah, no, he's not a worry. If he comes back, his play is not a worry. I think with Peters – it goes into, and I've said this for weeks, it's not so much about his play because I think that he's not the Hall of Fame Jason Peters that we've all known him to be, but he's still a capable left tackle in this league. The issues have been his injuries. He's not reliable enough to stay healthy throughout the course of one game.
Yeah, in his career.
So that's where the issue is. I don't see Peters taking a cut of any pay cut of any sort because he never has. That's who he is. He doesn't want to take a pay cut, unless if you're going to tell me that he knows that he's at the end of his career, and that he has to take a pay cut or he's gone.
So what's the answer? Vitae?
That's the thing. I think that with a strong draft class, this draft class is strong at offensive tackle and defensive line. You either draft one early, and I'm not putting a target like a specific round because I don't like targeting specific positions for rounds. I say you draft one early you draft one early depending on who falls to you, and I think first or second round you will definitely get a good offensive tackle prospect, and then you can go in as Vaitai as your stopgap, as I argued with Tom here weeks ago. Vaitai is not a long-term answer by any means.
What about our rugby player that we have?
To me, Mailata.
My boy, the GOAT.
We all love Mailata, but there's no way you can bank on him contributing in any way yet. There's no way. Like he played on a third string in preseason, and that was it. He had no reps, no start.
Didn't even dress.
Didn't even dress or anything. There's no way you can bank on him contributing in any way. So I think that, now to what you said, Rob, like I totally understand what you're saying about like Howie's draft history. And it's been shoddy. Like it's been here and there. Like he's had some hits, but then like to me, I harken back to 2017 where it was loaded with so many great running back prospects. But he went with Donnell Pumphrey,
your boy,
in the 4th round. And so to me, that was the biggest. To me, that was the biggest miss by him and Joe Douglas. Is that? However, last year's draft, you're already seeing some contributions.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas Goedert was a huge acquisition in the 2nd round. Avonte Maddox turned out to be our best corner, arguably, for the whole season, who was a 4th round pick. So, I mean, and then obviously Mailata late in the 7th round, if he turns out to be something, he is. And then Siamalu, who was a pick in 2016 in Wentz's class, he finally started to show that he's a capable starter at guard. So, I mean, it's some of his picks over the last few years have started to flourish now.
Sidney Jones
is still a question mark. You don't know. When he was healthy earlier in the year, he played well. But the thing is, he got hurt, and from there, it was a train wreck.
I feel like the Sidney Jones pick, I even if it doesn't work, I don't know that I would put that on Howie because I feel like that was, for where he was at and coming out of college, and even with the injury issue that he had, I feel like that was a great value pick at that point.
They had a steal there.
I felt like that was a pick you had to make at that point.
Because of the upside, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if it doesn't work out, is it disappointing? It is, but I don't know if that's one of those picks that I would say Howie blew it. Pumphrey, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
For me, I draft-wise this year, I actually have a little more confidence than I usually do because we talk about it a lot on here. I'm sure you've seen it. We've talked about it in the Real Talk group. For me, it seems like they're prioritizing the right things for the early rounds of the draft, which seems to be tackle 1st round or something on the offensive line, whatever the need is, and running back 2nd or 3rd round. To me, those are the most glaring needs that this team has. I know we're going to need a linebacker at some point, whether that's through the draft or free agency. We know there may or may not be some, an opportunity to go after safety help. I know we're loaded in the secondary, but it sounds like Ronald Darby will not be back, which was a name. So
he's projected big dollars.
Right, he's going to, regardless of his situation, he's expected to get paid, and we're not going to bring him back at that. To me, you're better off using that low risk, high reward money for Jay Ajayi. We talk about that all the time, but it seems like they're prioritizing correctly, which encourages me. And it does seem like the last couple years, sans Donnell Pumphrey, that they have managed to find taking the right guy at the right point fairly early on. I mean, we talked about Barnett. Dalvin Cook, Dalvin Cook can't stay on the field. And when he's been on the field, he's had flashes, but he's been underwhelming. Barnett, he obviously had the injury, but it does seem like he's always around the ball. He's always making plays,
a clutch player,
and he's been clutch in important parts in the game. So that gives me confidence that maybe he's learned from past mistakes. Looking at the question overall, I'm going to say mostly confident because a lot of it's going to be predicated on how much cap space that we clear up and who the casualties are, because then you're going to know glaringly where your holes are at, what you need to fill.
Absolutely.
And then be able to go from there. You're right. It's not just going to be through draft. We're going to need to be smart through free agency, particularly because 11's coming up with a contract that's going to be you're going to be needing to make sure that we can pay
I
him.
would like the Eagles to actually hit on the 1st round. Okay,
you have
Carson was different.
You have to.
We moved up for him. He better have been that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm saying if just wherever we are in the draft, any given year,
right,
for us to hit on that 1st pick,
you have to.
And
it looks like they did with Barnett, and hopefully they did with Barnett.
I think From what I've seen with Barnett, I think that was a hit, or it will be a hit.
Yeah.
It's still early. But again, to see a guy who, there was disappointment when he was picked because everybody wanted Dalvin Cook and everybody wanted
or the tight end, O.J. Howard.
O.J. Howard, who I wanted O.J. Howard.
Or the safety, I was interested in Malik Hooker.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good names on the board, but he's been one of the most of those guys. He's had more of an impact for his team up to this point, even with the injury he's had, than any of those other guys.
He's come up big in key moments. I think that's the key.
The key of how he comes back injury-wise this year and bounces back is going to be really important. But to me, I'm confident because one thing Howie does is he makes magic with the cap and he makes things happen, and that's going to be so crucial for this team.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to pay your draft picks, and you're going to need to be able to fill holes on this team. And we've already seen it with the Rodney McLeod, redoing his deal.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm pretty confident in it. I think so.
I really think there was a lot of forward thinking in Howie's part over the last several years. I think that he took advantage of free agency and went a little bit against the grain, not totally, but he signed big contracted free agents like an Alshon Jeffrey, a Timmy Jernigan. He signed those big name guys that too high, a little bit higher. I mean, Alshon's deal at the time wasn't huge; it actually was a discount, but he was willing to go after a big name guy.
Right.
He was still a name,
right?
So he did that. But then, if you look at the draft picks we have 12, and I think he planned it because he knew with the way he structured the roster and the free agents and the expiring contracts we had and the veterans, he knew that this season was going to be very important with the draft. This was like the benchmark of where, okay, I can't build off free agency. I got Carson Wentz's contract coming up. Now is the time to invest in young talent. We can't do free agent big contracts anymore, and we have too many holes to fill.
Yeah.
We need all the draft picks we can get so that we can restock and have these younger players on cheap rookie deals.
It's a play out of the Patriots playbook.
Yeah,
draft picks.
Exactly,
yes,
absolutely right. And I think that listen, they have a ton of draft picks, so I don't expect them to make 12 picks in this draft. They're going to utilize some of those too to make moves, whether it's to move up or down, to fill other holes through acquiring players. They've given themselves a lot of different avenues to work. Again, it all focuses on, to me, the cap situation. And I don't know that I can think of anybody better in the game who can work the cap like Howie can, which is why I'm that confident. He's going to have enough outside or other factors and things to cling on to and make moves.
Well, there's a big piece that we're not talking about right now, and what he's really trying to put together now is what we're going to do with Nick Foles and what kind of draft pick we could potentially get with him if we're able to move him or just lose him and get the third.
You know what I mean? I was on the franchise him and trade him deal, but I don't think at worst case scenario or best case scenario you're going to get a 3. And really, all you're doing is just getting the 3 a year earlier than I would much rather, I think, in hindsight. I mean, you want to keep him out of the division. You want to be able to control a little bit of his fate, but it's such a risk to do that.
Because of that.
That risk, it's such a risk to be able to, have that control and get the pick early. I'd almost rather see them get that pick for next year, so that's another tool for next year when you have to retool next year.
Yeah. And I think someone brought this up, and people don't realize that, someone was like, but it's that third-round compensation next year, the compensatory pick, is not guaranteed. Well, here's the thing, and this is why I believe Howie's going to be kind of frugal when it comes to free agency, is the way that formula works, and no one knows how it works. It's like some secret formula that the NFL keeps locked away for, private eyes only. But generally, the way it works is it depends on your salary cap number of the free agent that signs that new contract. So if Nick Foles goes somewhere to a new team and has that big deal, that's going to be big. That's why that's going to be a third-round compensation pick. If the Eagles, though, go out and spend big money on another free agent, that lowers that comp pick because we're kind of spending money to kind of offset that.
Right.
So if Howie stays frugal in free agency and does just cheap deals, that doesn't lower the value of the comp pick that he's getting next year. I think he knows that.
So you're saying possibly Antonio Brown's out of the equation?
I think Antonio Brown is definitely out of the equation. I'm not writing off Le'Veon Bell yet, though. It's an outside. It's in the peripheral.
No, there's no way.
Not writing it off yet. and it fills a huge need. I think if there's a way that they can make that happen, they would do that. But
he wants money.
To me, I'm looking at Foles is probably going to get somewhere between the $20 million of the if he would have accepted the option and what the franchise tag would have been.
Yeah,
so
between 20 and 25,
we're probably
yeah.
talking. Yeah,
20
we're probably
25.
talking anywhere between 22 to 25 or $6 million. He's going to end up landing. So I don't know that I agree with you. I don't know that I see Howie making any kind of astronomical moves unless Le'Veon falls into their lap some way, shape, or form.
I mean, that's
You
what
can keep
that's what the
riding that.
fan base is looking for, though. You know what I mean? You see how we are in the group room. Any big name player,
Big names, people
for
are
any
attached
sport,
to it, yeah.
everybody's
obsessed
with it.
Right.
Obsessed with it. So everybody's gonna be like, "Is it a failure if we don't get Bell or we don't get Brown?"
Not for the
Like,
Eagles.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, well,
Brown shouldn't even be a priority.
if we
They
don't
have
if
so
we
many
don't
wide
land,
receivers.
If
at
we
this
don't
point.
land a nationally named player for the Eagles in the offseason, will the fan base think it's a failure?
Probably.
Going into the new season?
Some will be
Probably.
like, we got like the Crumb Ralphie who's been screaming for Le'Veon Bell for months since the trade deadline, and I'm like, Ralphie, there's no way we're gonna
I
get
can't
him.
listen to what Ralph says at all since he's a Lakers fan, and let's just cut that one out right now.
You can't get everybody. Not every season is going to be star-studded for your team in free agency, no matter what sport it is. You know, they've been out there and they've been a top player in free agency, and you're right. They've put themselves in a position that this year they don't have to do that.
They don't have to do that, yeah.
You know, they have to hit on the draft picks, and they have to hit on the lower value guys that they do, probably second or third tier free agents.
Exactly.
I don't see a glaring need. I don't see the need for a superstar. I still think that if you draft a running back second or third round, and then
there's so many guys,
and then you bring Jay Ajayi in,
you're good.
You're not that immediately rushed to get this guy going. He's a high pick, but a lot of potential there to be successful early on. And you have Ajayi to be there and to be be the bell cow for a little bit.
That would
I
be
don't know
very
if I'm
smart.
confident in Ajayi.
No, see, that's why you still draft a guy, because you can get a deal with Ajayi.
Hedge your bets.
Because I was saying weeks ago when he kept bringing that up is that for me, I wouldn't be confident in just getting Ajayi as your offseason answer. Like, because if he's the only guy you add in this offseason for your running back group, like, how can we trust those knees recovering?
So you're not bringing Smallwood back?
No.
No, I wouldn't.
Your boy.
No, his boy is Donnell. We're bringing Donnell in.
5-year deal.
No.
Guaranteed.
So if you bring Ajayi back on a really cheap 1-year deal as like, you know, just a stopgap guy, you draft a guy in the second round, there's your committee. Like, you have, like...
What about our Notre Dame specialist that we have there that played the last 3 games of the season, disappeared in the playoffs?
Oh, Josh Adams.
Yeah.
He's just a complimentary piece. He's just another guy. Like, he's not... We talked about it. Like, he's not...
So he's number 3 then?
He'd be
Probably number 3.
Competing with Corey Clement. But also depends...
Is Clement going to be back?
He probably will be, but he's on a rookie deal, and they like him as a pass catcher. I'm not as high on him as some other people, a lot of people know
he
that.
disappointed me this year.
The problem with him is there was no progress there.
No progress in development.
Of all of them, including Smallwood, who did seem to make strides forward, he seemed to regress to me.
Yeah.
And take steps back. And, you know, on the defensive end, there's a couple of guys that I felt like made steps back. Clement was one of them. Jalen Mills was one of those guys. And these are guys that I expect this season, and the Eagles are going to expect this season to figure it out and come back and have a bounce-back year. And that's going to – I think a lot of our success this year, unfortunately, it sucks, is going to be predicating on guys who come back and bounce back from what could be perceived as a down year last year.
But I can't bank on Clement as a key contributor. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no.
They love their – like, not Howie. Like, Doug and Deuce, they love their committees for a running back, and that's fine. I'm fine with the committee.
You want a Super Bowl with a committee. I have no problem with that. But
you have to have a guy to be your lead guy to get like 15 touches a game as a guy, like as your go-to guy on the ground, and to someone you can actually rely on late in the game or in key situations. Not like a whole flux of people that are like just nobodies. You can't do that.
And that's why Blunt was good for us.
Yeah,
that's why the combination of Blunt and Ajayi
and
last
Clement
year
was having a great year.
as a role,
catcher,
as a pass catcher. Yes, that's why it worked, because you had the main guy, the lead guy in Ajayi. You had a great backup, his backup in Blunt, who came in on short yardage and red zone to fill that role, and then you had Clement as the pass catching guy. They all filled roles that were great, and that's why that rotation worked well. You need talent.
We haven't mentioned Sproles.
I don't bring him back.
Depends on how he
I don't bring him back.
If he decides he wants to come back for another year, I personally would be fine with not bringing him back, because there are so many names that could fill that role in the draft. But I would be lying if I didn't say that Doug wouldn't want him back. They love Sproles. They used him a lot late in the year when he came back, and that's why I think that getting a dual threat kind of running back is something that they need more than a power back, because you have someone like Sproles and they used him a lot. I think Doug has all of these plans and game plays, things he wants to do with the offense, but because they don't have that dynamic running back that they had in Sproles for much of the year, he can't do that. He can't use it. 2017, Sproles was hurt in week 3. He can't use those type of plays. You get what I'm saying? That's why I think a dual
I'm not
threat
crazy about the idea of bringing a bunch of guys who are here back, but it would not shock me, particularly this year with their situation, if they go and find guys who were just here fairly recently on discounted deals. A, bring Ajayi back, and or B, bring a LeGarrette Blount back on a small deal. Vinny Curry is a name I think would absolutely be a logical fit for much cheaper than what Brandon Graham would be. He's been successful in this system. Now, maybe it was at times in spurts, but he's had success in this system. Vinny Curry's still a young guy.
The way they change it out, their defense.
It's all about rotation.
That's why he did good. You've seen when he was playing down there in Tampa, if he had to be an everyday guy.
Yeah, he's not. He
guess
disappears.
what? He lasted a year.
Yeah. And
he's not an everyday guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But guess what? If he's going to come in, switch in and out, okay, he's fresh.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's one of those guys that absolutely makes a lot of sense for them to bring him back.
What about Long?
I would be fine with Long.
I would be. I mean, I love the guy. I'd love to see him.
He just
bring
got
him
the
back,
Walter Payton Award. That's
you need
want that on your jersey.
You need our
leadership.
And for our line, you need 2 units deep. I think you really do, and that's why you need. That's why I still believe that interior defensive line is still right up there with offensive line.
I think it's smart to prepare the fan base for not expect the biggest, sexiest names this year, and that's why the conversation should curve to the draft a lot more to these guys who are second-tier guys or guys who played here more. Because I know we're so used to being that top dog or one of those top dogs, but it just doesn't make sense at this point in time. And you're right. They've accumulated so many assets to be able to fill these holes and make other moves. And you said it right yourself. That's Patriots football right there. Right. That's exactly what you do. Not every year they go out and get – they very almost never go out and get the big names.
Yeah, hardly.
They continue to acquire assets and then – use them to move up and down and do this. And they
trade back in the draft for more picks.
But what's going to happen is more pressure on Carson because of all this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, there's already a ton.
So he's going to, when you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, arguably the GOAT. The GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hate him, but
yeah, exactly. But they're able to do that. They're able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? Now the pressure's going to be on Carson. Not bringing in these names, going cheap on different things, going younger. We don't care as a fan base. We see if we win or lose and how many touchdowns he's putting up and not throwing interceptions and not putting that pressure on himself, which he does, and he did. We want him to win.
Yeah.
So if we're not helping the team, whether it's on defense, okay, so this way it's bringing him back in the offense, having more opportunities to score. But if we're allowing them to run the score up on us again, it puts more pressure on him from behind to do what he's got to do.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to disagree with a statement that you made in your opening because I don't think this season was a disappointment. I think the start of it was. I actually think who this team's true identity was what you saw midway through the season. And not just because of Nick Foles or anything. I think that what you saw with the defense and the potential that was in the defense with those guys, it showed that scheme can work if you put guys in a situation to succeed. And for whatever reason, like we talked about at Jalen Mills, Jalen to me took a step back. But it opened up an opportunity. Guys like Russell were able to come in. They maximized. They put them in positions to succeed. Yeah. I actually think this team was much more talented than they showed early in the season. And then agree. Even when you look at the offense, Carson clearly wasn't at 100%. I felt like the offensive line massively underproduced early in the season, which didn't. It kind of had him on his heels from go.
Mike Groh was.
I'm still not a Mike Groh guy. I don't think Mike Groh called good football games all year, including that second half of the year.
Peters is old and pulled himself out and injured, and you had Lane Johnson with the high ankle sprain, who wasn't 100% helping him out.
This is a gut check time year for Mike Groh because Nick Foles bailed him out last year, and he didn't even bail him out all throughout the games. It was clutch drives down the stretch that people have that short-term memory, and they look at it as, oh, my God, Nick Foles had these great games, when actually he had great moments and great drives, but he played like shit in a lot of the games.
It was
like
Doug,
real talk.
Doug deciding to go with a simplified offense and say, okay, short passes, and so it made the offense look better than it really, really was. Because if you're a casual fan and you don't really know what you're watching, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, I'm just saying if you don't really know the ins and outs of the game, you see the offense not turn the ball over and move down the field with short passes. You're like, oh, it's so much better than before. No, it's just short, quick passes that are easy, that are high efficiency passes. And so you see a high completion percentage for Foles and think, oh, he's so much more accurate. No, that's not the case. That when they were under the offense they had under Wentz, and we talked about it all the time, it was way more complicated. They asked much more of Wentz.
And what did we see less of last year? And it's something that we absolutely loved from Wentz from Jump Street, that he did repeatedly with Frank Reich because of the trust that Frank had in Wentz, that it seemed to me like Groh either didn't have the trust or just didn't have the vision to understand what Carson could see out there. It's the ability to let Carson go up to the line and read the defense and change plays. We saw none of that last year. It was just constantly RPO. A lot of what Carson does is he does go up. He had a little bit of that Peyton Manning in him to go up, change the play at the line. I felt like we never saw that last year at all.
I feel like to a lesser degree, I think we saw it, but because Wentz and Groh were at such a disconnect for much of the season, it just wasn't the same. Like he wasn't able to do as much as he did, or had as much as control as he did.
He was just calling the basic audible, maybe. Mm-hmm. Not a changing of a play or reading the defense and putting his own play in. Just that one extra play that they put in just in case he sees something.
Yeah, and when you have these basic concepts that Groh is putting in the install, like as if you're Wentz, there's not much you can do. I mean, because you have Reich who's putting together these awesome play designs with different formations and everything. If you're Wentz, you can go to the line and adjust things. It makes things even more difficult for defense to adjust to. But when you have something basic like Groh is putting out there, as Wentz, who wasn't even in there during the offseason program, like you doing the offseason training and everything, there was not as much time to get acclimated to the new play designs under Groh and everything. So he's not able to do as much. I think Wentz tried. I think there were plenty of times when Wentz, saw different things and tried adjusting at the line, but it just wasn't to the extent as the year before because of all those circumstances.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of that, but I think this is a big year for Mike Groh now because Mike Groh he's not going to have Nick Foles to fall back on to simplify. And really, honestly, you shouldn't simplify things as much with Carson because of the special talent that he does have and the playmaking ability that he does have. You're not maximizing that talent. To me, you're not justifying having a second-round pick if you're just dinking and dunking up and down the field all day.
Yeah, and that goes back to, the topic with, what Howie's going to do. Is he going to evaluate Groh and say, hey, you know what I mean? Like, this is your year, and if it doesn't happen for you,
it really is. If he can't make it work, if he can't really help Wentz with a better game plan, better install, week in and week out, he's gone. Like, he is absolutely gone. Mm-hmm. He has to be able to, especially after that report. I hate to bring it up again, but that report by Santo Liquido or whatever, saying that they were butting heads and whatnot, as whether it was true or not. This grows like gut check time. Exactly what you said. If you can't make it work with Wentz, then they're going to look in a different direction. I absolutely believe that.
Listen, franchise quarterback, possible 10-year quarterback in this city. He's going to stay. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
So Groh's going to have to figure it out.
And he should be, theoretically healthy by the time the season starts.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he's, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we haven't seen in a while, and I think that's going to be huge. And listen, the expectations are going to rise for Carson. If we don't see the progression that we expect, then he should definitely be held accountable for that. I just think and without Nick Foles being here, although that Nick Foles stuff's going to be haunting him forever now, until he wins a Super Bowl, start to finish. This is. There's no doubts. This is going to be his team going forward. There's no Nick Foles sitting back there.
Yep.
Studfeld might be back there.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I heard. I don't know if it was. It might have been agree to disagree. I thought the name. If he's there, and it's a favorable contract, do you bring like a Teddy Bridgewater in as your backup, or do you not want to go there again?
I don't think I'd go there again.
Do you not want to put
Not
that
yet.
risk of bringing a guy in
Not yet.
who could be perceived as someone who could quote unquote
I don't
take
think so.
Carson's
And
spot?
I really do think that Sudfeld's going to be back. They're going to work out some kind of really cheap 2-year contract. Sudfeld's going to be there. They blocked, I forget who it was. They blocked someone from picking him up off the practice squad.
I saw that.
That was it last year or something?
Yeah.
They've kept Sudfeld on the team for a reason. They've been grooming him for this role. He'll be back. I'm like 95, 98% confident that Sudfeld will be the backup.
You see who's out there. You know what I mean? Who's going to be available to be a paid backup quarterback at, not the highest money for a backup.
Uh-huh.
I mean, honestly, I think Sudfeld's going to end up being your best.
Is Tannehill going to be a backup quarterback?
No, somebody will sign him as a starter.
No.
Bortles going to be around?
No. He hasn't even been released yet, but I think he
Casey
will be.
Keenum?
Well, listen, I mean,
I'm just naming some names out there. You know
if the AAF can make payroll, then Bortles might be an option there.
Yeah, there's really not much. I mean, Bridgewater is your best bet, but I mean, I can see a scenario where the Saints even bring him back. They traded for him.
Possible, yeah.
It's hard for me to believe that they would trade for him and then just after one season, that's it. Like I really think they're gonna sign him. But
Sammy Sleeves?
No, he's done.
I'd be shocked. I would. He
steals
You know what though? I say I'd be shocked if he was back in the league, but I didn't expect him to get a $20 million
from the
deal
Cardinals
last year either, which was absolutely insane.
He said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
That is, yeah. Jake Friel says, "What's up, boys? What's up, Jake?" David Raska says, "What's up, boys? Rams will be back." I don't doubt it, brother. I'm sure they will.
Nah.
Tom Arnone says to the poll, "I'm mostly confident in Howie. Just don't trust him in the draft." Ryan Brodo agrees. Curtis Hinton says Carolina Panthers stand for love. John Skeel says, "I'd like to see the Eagles improve at linebacker." Definitely, that's a position of need. Greg Milakovic, I can't say your name for some reason, Greg, says, "What's up, fam? Mostly confident on Howie. Haven't always been the biggest fan because he's won off seasons before, but until last year it never mattered because it didn't translate. So let's see what he has up his sleeve, and maybe it translate. Cherry is popped."
Yep.
Tom says, "Yeah, it's gonna be Nate." I agree, Chucks. And he says, Bortles gate. What do you got over on the tube?
On the tube, we got some guys talking about Joe Douglas, saying, "Don't forget about Joe Douglas." Foolish Demon says, "Joe does have pull. He's a personnel guy. Howie is the cap guy for obvious reasons." I think we have to. They've stated this is how it works between them two. Joe Douglas sets the board. Howie gets final say, and I think that's fine. I think Howie trusts not only Joe, but the rest of his coaching staff too. He trusts them to get their input, and then at the end of the day, he takes off what they say, and then makes that final decision. I think Howie has shown strides in the past few years compared to where he was at before Chip Kelly. He's shown strides in terms of draft process and everything. So I think that there's more confidence in Howie now. Even though it's not like totally up there, he's known Bill Belichick in terms of the draft. But I mean, you're more confident now than you have been in years past.
Oh yeah, I mean, are you saying it's more like you think it's like 50-50 with him and Doug?
No, it's tough to put a percentage on it because I really do think Joe does most of the scouting and evaluations on the players. He does not most. He does that's what he does. He sets the draft board, he ranks them, and then Howie hears what they say. He hears their evaluations. They tell me when I was learning about how scouts work in the front office. Scouts literally have an evaluation, and it's literally like 1 or 2 sentences that they have to present to the next guy up. So I'm guessing, I'm just putting out that it's probably Joe. So Joe says, okay, tell me about this guy, this guy, this guy. So Joe sees all these evaluations that all the Eagle Scouts put together on every player. He examines them, he gives a quick snapshot of what they are, and then he sets a draft board. And I think all of them put together, they talk to Howie. They say, Howie, this is how we said it. This is our evaluation on this guy. This is where we put them, and here why. And then Howie does, okay, I think we do this. So it's tough to say 50-50 when I think in terms of the draft, Joe does most of the work. But I still think that Howie making the final decision on everything gives him a lot of the power. Do you get what I'm saying?
So, okay, I understand completely what you're saying. But in first step is Doug saying, these are our needs. This is what we need, this position.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they run with it from there.
They run with it from there, yeah.
He has nothing to do with the players, just this is what we need.
I think in terms of Doug, I think he says, this is, like, they go to him to also say, okay, this is how we see this player. Will this player work in can you have a game plan for this player? Will he work in our system? And Doug says yes or no and gives an explanation. Yeah. I think that's how.
I think essentially, Doug says, okay, this is where we need to target, or this is what I'm looking at. They'll go out, get the evaluations, and they'll present those to Doug, and then they'll together probably have a conversation, break down, how they're a fit, where their weaknesses are. Can we overcome that weakness, or can we compensate for that weakness if we need to? And that's probably where it is. And then ultimately the decision comes down. Which makes a lot of sense. I mean, that would be sensible.
Yeah, but every team is different. I've heard from former players and former execs on podcasts that I've listened to that every team doesn't work that way, doesn't work the same exact way. The level, like the branch that you go up through, sometimes it's different. You go through different guys. Like I'm sure with the Cowboys, their system of power is totally different because Jerry Jones has his foot and hand in every single thing. Yeah. And oftentimes to his detriment, the detriment of the team. So I'm pretty sure that their dynamic in their front office is different. But
Tom says Howie's never been able to draft well. He needs Joe. I don't think any of us doubt that. I mean, Joe is definitely a huge part of Howie's success if there is going to be success.
Yes. No, Joe is very important. That's why I'm glad he's still here. Yeah. He hasn't left for another, GM.
Be a lot more concerned if he wasn't around. That's for sure.
Yep. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He says Deuce Volt. He says Duke Johnson to Philadelphia, which I find very interesting because someone brought that up as possible trade, is if Philly trades for Duke Johnson.
Wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it at all.
I think he'd be
you wouldn't bring back Sproles.
If the money's right, 100%.
I always believe that the Browns never used Duke Johnson the right way. He's better than what his numbers say. And everyone I've seen on Facebook say, like, oh, no, hell no, what has he done? Stop looking at just the numbers. What have the Browns accomplished to put any player in a great spot to succeed? Duke Johnson's a very talented scat back type of receiver. Or he's a very talented receiver out of the backfield. He could absolutely fill that Sproles role.
I think Duke Johnson could definitely be a good role player in a rotation here. I didn't like the fit with him with Cleveland to begin with. Yeah. I said it last year. Nick Chubb was going to take his job before week 10, and I think he took it, week 7, 6?
Something like that.
It was pretty early. Yeah. So, that didn't surprise me. That's not to knock his talent. I just didn't think it was a right fit. But I think that his skill set would absolutely work here.
Yep.
I agree.
Trying to browse through. Foolish Demon says draft Justice Hill, second or third round. Foolish Demon, I haven't gotten to him yet. I've gotten to about like 10 or 11 guys. He's still on the list of guys I still have to study. So, unfortunately, I don't have a thing on Justice Hill yet. He also says Elijah Holyfield would be solid here as well. He's a guy that's climbing up draft boards.
I'm hearing his name more and more too.
I finally got done looking at like 3 or 4 of his games. He's a good back. I think I would take him around somewhere in day 2, probably round 3. He's in that cluster of there's a lot after Josh Jacobs. There's just a whole bunch of running backs who are day 2 guys. So I think Elijah Holyfield is in that cluster of day 2 guys. It depends on what you're looking for. Elijah Holyfield has very good feet. He's very strong. But what concerns me is just he has great feet, but he's not he's a little stiff sometimes in his hips. And he's not dynamic. He doesn't have great explosion. It's good. His top end speed is not really there, and he doesn't really force a lot of missed tackles. He's not like, despite his power and strength, he's not like a powerful tackle breaker like you would see out of like a Marshawn Lynch or LeGarrette Blount, who like steamrolls guys left and right. Elijah Holyfield is not like that. He could also improve it somewhat in his vision. Sometimes his run path is not ideal. He needs to work on that a little bit more. But he's got good feet. He's got very quick feet for a bigger guy. So I put him on like day 3. I actually have him higher than Benny Snell, which is a name that a lot of Eagles fans throw out there. But I like Elijah Holyfield significantly more than I like Benny Snell. So that's my Elijah Holyfield, short eval. I know that our boy Clay has been begging me to study him. But if he's listening, that's what I think of Elijah. A lot of people are saying they would bring back Ajayi. I think someone here said that he'll be gone though. Bennett all day.
I think Ajayi will be there if they want to bring him back.
Yeah. And a lot of people.
I definitely think he'll be there if they want to bring him back.
The chat's flying now.
Go with it.
Let's see. SJM says Eagles running back next year will be by committee unless someone unforeseen comes through via trade. It will be a combo of free agent whoever makes the cut at camp. I still think they draft someone. SJM. I think that drafting someone is very viable. I know people always say, like, they keep bringing this up, and they're like, Howie will never draft a running back early. It's always going to be day 3. I don't really agree with that because back in 2017, they were targeting Cook. They wanted to get Cook in the second round.
An article today. What we've talked about here at the studio, I know Ryan's talked about it on here and on the Fix, kind of confirm our needs that we said. They're likely looking at some kind of an offensive lineman first round, and they plan to take a running back second or third round as of today. Could that change if something happens through free agency or trade? Sure. But everything that I've read, and I read another article about it today, was that they are planning on taking a running back in the second or the third round. And there's going to be a lot of talent there in the second and the third round at running back.
Yes. It's a priority. They need
talent.
Right, and it's not something they need to jump at first round.
No.
Unless somehow the top running back or top 2 running backs fall, they don't need to jump.
They're going to have to go with best available for an offensive position on the line.
Correct.
It's a must.
I mean, I think ideally you'd like ideally you would like a tackle, but if they got to go interior and that there's a guy you can't pass up on, they'll make the move for the best lineman, whoever's there.
I mean, it's not like Sayamalu or Sayamalu left guard is like a definite mainstay. You could always improve from.
No. But what I'm saying is, to me, glaringly tackle should be the priority.
Yes, yeah.
But they will, if there's an interior lineman that drops that is an absolute can't pass, they'll go that, and maybe they'll go a tackle second round and go running back third round.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of possibilities.
I definitely agree. Trying to think here.
One thing I do think that they will do is they will go best available.
Yes.
If it fits their needs. If there's a guy that is undeniable that has fallen for one reason or another, then maybe they'll go off the cuff a little bit. But I think they know exactly what they need. Yeah. Everything I read is seems like they know exactly what they need.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And that's why I always say, like, it's people always, like, mention or say, like, oh, you got to go this position in the first round. You got to do this. No, they don't. You got to, especially at 25.
Yeah.
You got to see who falls to you.
Right.
You're not going to target. That's what got Andy Reid in trouble late in his career, in his time here in Philly, was that he was targeting positions.
You thought Danny
rounds.
Watkins wasn't a great
Danny
trade?
Watkins
wasn't a great draft.
And look what happened with Zach Ertz. No one thought tight end was a need. Chip drafted Zach Ertz in the second round, and everyone was like, we don't need a tight end. But look how that panned out. You draft best available. If there's someone that you love on your draft board that is very high that falls to you, you got to take them. It doesn't matter what your other needs are. You draft talent, and you figure it out later.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think he got lucky with Ertz, though, honestly.
He probably did.
He
loves his.
He
what was
fell in that one.
What division?
It happens, though.
Yeah.
We need more of that. In later rounds. In third and fourth round, we need somebody like, wow.
Listen, how many teams passed on Tom Brady, including the Patriots, how many times?
What was it?
Sometimes you just, you got to hit it.
No. I forget what pick it was. Sixth round. It was sixth round, but overall, I forget
I thought
what
it was like 126 or something.
So it might be something like that.
Yeah.
I'll Google it.
Yeah, it's like
I'll pull out the Google machine, figure it out. But, all right, so we're talking draft. What's the one position that you do believe they will address in free agency? Because for me, it's going to be safety.
That's possible. If I'm going to put –
I'm lying. There's two, but I'm going to let you guys say because there's another one that I actually might prioritize over. But safety, I think, could definitely be one. I'll see if you guys say the other one first.
I think it's going to be defensive line.
Defensive line? Okay.
I really think so. I think they have to get at least a veteran in there. I don't know. I can't say for sure if it's going to be defensive tackle or defensive end.
I was going to say end myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Even we'll probably pick up a linebacker, believe it or not.
Yes.
That was my other one. I think linebacker. Actually, as I said, safety, I'm like, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like linebacker through free agency is probably going to be, to me, a no-brainer for them.
And honestly,
I don't know much about the draft. You guys know this.
There's no.
But the linebackers, from what I've heard in the draft, are very thin.
They're bad.
Which means you're either looking at trying to bring back Jordan Hicks or you're looking elsewhere in the free agent market. And I think Howie tends to hit it on those, particularly at that position. The Bradham pickup was really good.
It was really good, yeah.
He seems to have a knack for those guys, whether it's a safety or the linebacker position in free agency. There's some he misses on the outside, but he hits a lot on the ones that he signs on the inside.
Kamu was a good pickup. I mean, you had Kamu was like practically no one. It came in as our third linebacker this year, played fine. Like he made some plays. So, I mean, I could definitely see linebacker in free agency because you're absolutely right. The linebacker class in this draft is so bad. It's really
I don't
thin.
see them wasting a pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they pick a linebacker in the draft, it'll probably be just be a flyer late on day 3. But with how this class is, I'd be very surprised if they pick one early. There's really not that much talent.
All right, so let's move to pick any player.
You want to? You want to do it now?
So, pick any player. Chuck likes to come up with these things now. So last week he came up with one. I couldn't even remember the name of the segment. I just kind of kept throwing out one.
No, I don't even remember the name of the segment.
This was that. The family knows I'm not real good at making sure that I'm prepared for whatever the second topic is on the show. And he had one that said one something, and I'm like, Chuck, I don't even know what that means, man. You're gonna have to like intro. This segment.
One keeper. That's right.
Are we doing fantasy football or? So we're gonna do pick any player. Pick any player is any player in the league. Dream scenario. Don't worry about cap hits, any of that stuff. Doesn't matter if they're available. They're on a team. For this team, who do you think would be an incredible fit? We talked about it. I think we should go defense and offense. For me, offense, surprise, surprise, Le'Veon Bell would be the absolute perfect pick if you could have him.
Okay.
I mean, fills a huge need. I think when you're talking bell cow, he is a dude that will absolutely epitomizes what they could have here. Takes a lot of pressure off of Carson. Can catch the football out of the backfield, which is really huge, obviously, in this offense. I think he's an absolute logical fit. I'm going to go Van Der Esch, linebacker.
Oh, you like him.
I have to say, I mean, I know he's a Cowboy, but damn, I mean, I really like him a lot. And for his size,
he's another one that just likes saying his name.
Van Der Esch.
Van Der Esch. He reminds me a lot of Zach Thomas in his prime. He's not he's built really big. He has really good ball skills. He's a little bit undersized, but he just always is around the football. And I feel like he would be a perfect fit for this team, for the city. I would love to see him playing next to Bradham. I think those two would be absolute monsters in the middle.
Be fun.
Yeah, that's the two.
He's
I'm
a
going
gamer.
with.
He's definitely a gamer. You can see the hustle. You see it you can just tell by looking at certain players. You know what I mean? Like they're into it.
There's not a lot of guys and on the Cowboys, in full disclosure, that really I go in and I feel like, oh, this guy scares me. Maybe Amari Cooper a little bit now, just because of the way he played when he made that.
Scares me.
Right, but like obviously Dak, I'm not even that scared of Zeke anymore because you just have to contain him, and then everything else kind of plays out. Like he's taken over games, but not really enough overall since he's been in the league that I feel like it costs us games, and we've shut him down before. But I feel like Van Der Esch is that guy in the middle on that defense who's like the heartbeat of that defense, to where I constantly feel like he's going to be around the football. And I feel like he could get in the passing lane and make a play at any point. He kind of scares me a little bit on that Cowboys defense. I think he's a really, really great cornerstone for that team. And, man, I would love to have him on this football team.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you're following at home. Put down who you want on the Eagles, too.
Yeah, get it in.
Yeah.
Let us know. For me, 2 players, one on offense, one on defense. On defense, I would like J.J. Watt, defensive end. Okay? Why?
Because he's amazing.
Because he's J.J. Watt?
Because he's J.J. fucking Watt. Have you ever looked into his eyes?
He's a scary man.
The guy is a savage.
He has the kindest smile, but the scariest eyes.
Oh, my gosh.
The guy is a beast.
Yeah.
He's a leader on the team.
I like it.
Okay?
Dude is such a class act, too.
Yeah.
Like, I love guys who are absolute animals on the field, but, dude, they get off and they're just good human beings.
Yeah, exactly. Good pick.
He, helped with the hurricane.
Yeah, he did.
Like
he
really did. Yeah.
Millions and millions.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He really is. He would be such a great fit. I mean, he's an amazing football player.
It would really shore up our defense a lot, and never happened, but it would definitely wow, we got a face to the defense with Cox.
Sure.
Holy crap, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And on offense, Antonio Brown.
Oh no!
Really?
All right. My reasons for this. Okay.
Go. No, he's good though. Go ahead.
Ever since I seen his kick or his punt return, where he kicked that dude in the chest, I loved it. I knew he was going to be something special.
That was great.
I knew he was going to be something special, and after he did
that was great.
And
I remember that.
But the fact is, he's arguably 1 or 2 as a wide receiver in the league. And something that we were missing greatly was spreading that field. And it would not only help Alshon get more balls, but Ertz even better looks than he already has.
Oh, it would definitely open up the field. I agree.
And with our weak running back core, would open it up for them as well.
Oh, for sure.
Tom says, "Stop it, Rob. LOL, he's such a crumb."
Tommy.
I like the J.J. Watt pick. I'm going to go. All right, so I'll do defense first. I'm going to say Aaron freaking Donald because if you put Aaron Donald next to Fletcher Cox, good night. You are not getting in the middle of our defensive line at all.
Game over.
It is over. You better be running outside zone, counters, sweeps, because you're not getting on the inside. QBs better be doing rollouts the whole game because they're not stepping up in the pocket. There's no way. Absolutely no way. So you put Donald and Cox together.
I do like
absolutely.
That pick.
On offense, no surprise, but it's going to be Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry, but the guy had no offensive line, and he put up the numbers he did. Can you imagine if he had our offensive line? The guy would be breaking records, and he's only he finished his rookie season, but it's only his second year in the league, so you've got youth. I would absolutely do Saquon Barkley. And someone said in here, who was it, that you can win. It's been proven you can win without a bell cow running back. Yeah, it's also been proven that you can win without an elite wide receiver. Name an elite wide receiver that's won a Super Bowl in the past, 5 to 10 years. So, to me, wide receiver isn't as much more important as running back is. To me, like, there's not that much of a difference anymore. You don't need an elite wide receiver, just like you don't need an elite running back.
The question was, who would you like to see? Not if it would really work.
Saquon Barkley. I would like this.
You're discounting my Antonio Brown pick here.
No, I'm just addressing what the guy said.
Who would you like to see?
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, I don't know. That's fine. I'm just answering this one guy.
All of a sudden, Saquon is what? Barry Sanders? He didn't have a line and all this stuff.
He could be. We talked about it. Barkley is a generational talent, man. He is with no line. He put up those numbers.
I thought Baker Mayfield was a generational talent.
That's Tom. That's Tom. That's everything that's Tom saying. Tom, you better get back here in the second half because he's discounting your boy.
We got 2 minutes. I'm gonna run down the Facebook comments. We got some in here. Bill Middlebrook, he says there's no way they draft a running back in the first round. I think we agree with you on that. Second or third, likely. He says they won't draft one at all once they sign Bell. I like it if they can get him. Harry Clemens says pick up Earl Thomas. I would love it, but he's gonna get a lot of money.
I wish though.
Yeah.
I wish.
Tom says defensive line or offensive line. I think he's talking about draft. Or he might have been talking about position that they signed.
In free agency, yeah. Okay.
Bill Middlebrook says A2D Live, C.J. Anderson. Harry Clemens says...
For what, guard?
Fullback.
Harry Clemens says buy Graham and Tate. I think Graham will be gone. Unfortunately, now I am on the Tate's going to be gone. Yeah. Wouldn't shock me if Nelson's gone. He said. Bill says. So you would pay Nelson $10 million instead of Tate at $6 million. I think Tate's going to get more than $6 million.
Tate's going to get more than $6 million.
I wouldn't pay either of them.
And it was reported that by one of the beat writers, I think Mike Kay said from NJ.com said that the Eagles are currently trying to renegotiate or work something out with Nelson's contract, so he will be at a lower figure.
So last couple real quick, I'm just going to run through. Harry Clemens says yes, sign Aggie, long-term deal. Like Hollins to step up. Bill says agree 100%. Bell is three players in one. Best rush blocker in the league and has great hands for throws, and obviously his running ability. He would make Wentz an MVP. You guys are thinking cap, aren't thinking cap. Just your dream players on both sides of the ball. I'll go with Bell and Ramsey. Rob told Tom to go to bed. And Tom said, Chrome's sleeping, #Sleepgate, and he says Baker's the GOAT. We're going to wrap up the first half on Tom claiming Baker as the GOAT. So make sure you guys join us for the second half of the show. We're going to share the links. I believe it's at the top of the page as well. You can join us over on the YouTube. We'll continue the conversation. We're also going to talk Jeffery Simmons. We're going to do No Huddle. Manny Machado signed today, guys. That's one big dog off the board. We'll talk a little bit of No Huddle on the second half. First half brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours at GibsonMayer.com. Also, Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Scanzano Sports. Find them on the web at ScanzanoSports.com. Good first half, guys. Join us in the second half. You guys drive it. We appreciate it. We'll see you in a few.
Tom and Mike, AM and the PM is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues and expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional sports. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Mike from Tom and Mike AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's www.gibsonmayer.com.
Birds of a Feather is back on A2DRadio.com. We are on YouTube. We are brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountants. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Also by Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them in Cherry Hill, Princeton, Burlington, New Jersey. Find them on the web, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com, and Scanzano Sports. Our Scanzano Sports poll question: how confident are you in Howie in the 2019 offseason to make the moves necessary to continue to be competitive? Extremely confident, mostly confident, somewhat concerned, serious doubts. We can continue to talk about that. We'll continue to talk about picking players, although I knew these crumbs were going to pick. Someone was going to pick Antonio Brown, and I had a feeling this guy was going to pick Saquon Barkley.
Of course.
Crumbs.
RB1.
Tuned me out on that one. Chrome Chucks, Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos, Rob Lutman joining us this week. We're going to go and move on to Jeffery Simmons. Obviously a top 10, 15 projected pick, tore his ACL. So, Chucks, where did you want to go with the Jeffery Simmons conversation? I know there was a direction you were planning on taking it to.
So, with Jeffery Simmons, I know it was brought up maybe last week when the injury was announced in the A2D group, which if you're not on, get on there.
A2D Real Talk.
It was brought up that Jeffery Simmons, would you take a chance on him in the second round, or do you see the Eagles possibly doing that in a similar way that they did with Sidney Jones, and would you be happy with that move? And obviously we got a lot of, it was a very divisive kind of, topic, because you have people who, who now especially don't like the Sidney Jones pick, who are out on him already calling him a bust, and they feel that they don't want the team to take that kind of, move. But then you have your other guys who are willing to do it, because with a guy who's drawing comparisons to Fletcher Cox, if he comes back and is anything like Fletcher Cox, you put him on the interior, and just like I said with end of the first half with pairing Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox, you have an interior defensive lineman duo that's absolutely bonkers. So if Simmons can be that bonkers, so if you can have that type of player to put next to Cox, that would be great. So it's kind of like just like the Sidney Jones thing. It's where, like, do you think that's worth it to have a guy who's projected that high? If he falls to the second round, do you take him? My opinion is,
wish this was vodka.
This was my take on it is 2 years ago when they took Sidney Jones, they could afford to take that chance. This year they can't afford to take that chance. If it was like late second or early third, I think I would be more for it. Maybe more so early third than late second. But I think if it's anywhere in the second round, I still wouldn't, because you kind of need help now. You need help. Like, after there's talk about Timmy Jernigan might not even being returning to the team because of his cap hit. So after Timmy Jernigan, who do you have to play along Fletcher Cox? You have no one. That's why I have defensive line being such a big need, because you need that rotational guys. So where Jeffery Simmons, he could come in, and if he's healthy again, at some point he could be great next to Fletcher Cox, but you kind of need someone now. You need someone for 2019. That's why I don't think the Eagles can afford to make that risk, afford to make that type of pick where they redshirt the guy essentially for a year and then have him come back with high hopes the following season. But that's just my take. I mean, if they take him, I'm not going to be super upset, but they better have found someone in free agency and bring Timmy back so that they have those guys and they don't have to worry about Jeffery Simmons not playing in 2019.
See, I feel like if the talent is there, people get too caught up in this guy's been injured and this and that. I mean, honestly, nowadays, an ACL is like, it's like a rolled ankle at this point, just because it's so frequent. Guys bounce back from it all the time, and all across professional sports. I mean, there was a time where, an ACL was it could have been a career ender. There was a time in baseball where Tommy John ended guys' careers. And now, with the medical advancements, these guys and the physical specimen that these guys are now, they bounce back a lot. And I understand what you're saying where, do we have the luxury of redshirting a guy, and that's a fair point. But I also look and I'm not putting him in a generational talent pool by any means, but, you go and you look at guys like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Sometimes it just works out. Mm-hmm. Then you look at a Markelle Fultz, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sidney Jones, again, I felt like when they took that pick, that was a guy they had to take at that point. It made a lot of sense. It might be tough to pass up on this guy at the end of the first round or second round. I'm sorry, or at some point in the second round. It just depends on how much you believe in the talent of the player, the impact they can make on the team, and again, I mean, how confident is Howie that, despite essentially, you could say, wasting a second round pick to impact this year's team, but having the long-term vision for it, how confident is he that he can compensate for that? I'm not opposed. I don't get scared off by guys who have injury histories, because there's been a lot of guys in sports who have had injury history in college or in baseball in the minor leagues, and then they never have a major injury when they hit the pros. So there's not really a trend to that. People try to make it like there's a trend, like, oh, these guys they usually don't work out. It's usually something that nags them forever. But there's guys who never experience it again after the fact. So I don't get caught up in that. If you believe in the talent, if he's going to drop, make the move. I'm fine with it.
The Cowboys did the thing with what's their linebacker? Is it Jalen? God, I can't. I forget what his name. The linebacker they took in the second round who had injury history, and it took him like 2-3 years, but now he's a stud. I mean, there are cases for both. I mean, you also have guys like, I don't know, San Francisco drafting not Marcus Lattimore. Something Lattimore, the running back, a few years ago who blew out his knee, and then they took a chance on him in the third round. He didn't pan out. I mean, there's cases for both. There's cases for both ends where it's worked out and it hasn't worked out. Like I said, I wouldn't be upset. They just better have a plan for this year. They better make the moves necessary so that redshirting him doesn't become as much of a risk or as much of a detriment to the team. Because,
See, Foolish Demon says, Simmons is so damn good, though. Imagine Cox, Barnett, Simmons, and Montez Sweat.
Yeah, Jalen Smith. That's right. Thank you, Foolish. Jalen Smith. Look how much of a beast he is. And it was questionable if he would ever get back to that form. But I mean, after 2 years now, he's tearing it up for the Cowboys. So, I mean, I totally get it. You better have a plan in place. You better have defensive linemen in place so that you don't need to rely on Simmons this year.
What do you do?
See, there's a lot of controversy with, the off-the-field stuff, okay?
That he was, yes.
Okay, so he, back in the, early college days, coming out of high school, he was involved with punching a woman in the face on video and almost ended his career.
Yeah.
Okay?
I read about that.
So we can chalk that up to him being immature. Okay?
And to put context to it, it was because that girl was attacking his sister. Now, it doesn't excuse, it's just putting context to it. It's not like he was drunk and it was irresponsible. He was defending his sister. So that's part of the reason why that I heard. And it was very early in his career, yeah.
Okay, that happened. It's pretty much over with because he was able to go on with his, collegiate career.
Yeah.
Coming from Mississippi State. So they are playing, credible teams. And his career was, it's good enough to be talked about right now and potential first rounder. He is a
high first rounder too.
Yeah.
Right. And he most likely probably won't land to us. You know what I mean? Going that low in the draft. He's probably projected, I was saying, possibly top 15, top 16.
Yeah, before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where he's going to go. But somebody he's not a huge guy as far as like weight. He's more of a lanky type guy. But you see those guys are getting to the quarterback. He's going to put that interior rush in on us and help us out. He's going to block the gaps. He's going to get the the A and B gap there, and potentially get to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I like it. I like that kind of move We need that speed rusher. We need that guy that's going to get in there and make those moves for us. I don't really see a downfall as far as that type of player. Okay, whether it's him or somebody like his stature to go in there, and especially with our rotations, he's going to be able to learn. We ain't putting all the pressure on somebody like that right away. Okay, so he's going to go in there with that fresh wave of players that come in on either third downs or first downs, and let him learn and put him next to some studs like a Cox, like a Jernigan, like let them teach him the way and teach him the ropes, and he could become something special. So you might be able to see this guy's name in the future for any team that he lands on that could potentially be a Pro Bowl type caliber player.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's tough to weigh it out. I mean, like Fool's Demon does elaborate on the context I was talking about. He apparently the girl was talking about his dead family member. I've been that angry before. We've all been there. Not an excuse, of course. So I mean, those red flags were mentioned, and it's possible that those red flags would have dropped him even lower than 15, maybe. I mean, we'll see to what extent teams are going to be willing to take on him. Could he drop even to the third round? I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen crazier stuff. I mean, we've seen, Lyle Collins, who completely, because of the thing that happened with that investigation right before the draft, he completely pulled out of the draft because he wasn't going to be taken out in the first round anymore. So, I mean, crazier stuff has happened.
I mean, there's other intangibles, too. Listen, they could franchise Foles and end up making a trade, and they have that extra pick in round 3 to where then that changes the game. Maybe you do have the flexibility to
take a chance,
you take a chance on a player of that caliber.
How about the craziest thing probably of all time when it comes to the draft is the Miami Dolphins guy. I forget his name, where 5 minutes before the draft, the bong hits.
Yeah.
Who was his name?
I forgot his name. So he was supposed to be
I was like,
yes. Yeah, he was supposed to be like a top 10 guy, and then the picture, the video of him smoking the bong came out, and then he dropped immediately. I remember that. I think it was 2 years ago, I think. But that was crazy, too. You've seen it all. Yeah. Laramie Tunsil. There you go.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So,
that wasn't premeditated, too, to drop that video right then.
I mean, I don't even. Someone definitely released it with a purpose, with an intent. So, crazy stuff does happen. I mean, and look at Darius Geis last year. He was talking about him late first, and then there were all those reports about him and off the field issues, character concerns, and he dropped to the Redskins in the second round. We've seen crazy stuff in the draft.
I feel like we have so much flexibility with the draft too, that I'm not opposed to taking risks on certain things like a player like that.
Yeah.
Particularly because we still have to factor in the fact that Carson's contract is going to be coming up. You are going to need playmakers.
Yes.
On all sides of the football.
Good point. Yeah.
So I don't know that I'm going to worry as much about sacrificing one pick this year to take a shot at a guy who could be a very team-friendly contract for a period of time when you're paying your quarterback outside of his rookie deal. I might be willing to take that risk for this year.
Okay.
And then say, Howie, we're going to go for this. Maybe we would have taken a lineman or a defensive lineman at this point anyway. We're going to go with him. We know we're not going to have him. He's got to figure it out in free agency then and compensate for that one draft pick that they had.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm always about – people worry too much about right this second or right now. You still have to look forward. That's how you continue to succeed. There has to be a vision going forward beyond just this year. Unless you're in week, right before the trade deadline and you have a chance to make a move that can put you over the top in win now mode. That's the only time in professional sports that I feel like you go into quote unquote win now mode. You always have to have the next couple steps in mind. And that Carson, until we know the deal that Carson signs and the financial situation we're going to be in, they have to continuously take that in consideration. And this guy could be an absolute playmaker for them on a very, very team-friendly deal for the potential skill set that he could bring to this defense. So, I mean, I might take the shot at him if he's there in round 2. He might drop lower than that. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, if he gets around 3, you got to take him. I don't think he would.
That'd be considered a steal, honestly. So are you saying that we're more in the rebuild phase?
No.
Because the comment that was made after the Super Bowl is what? This is the new norm?
No, it's not winning teams.
Then we're falling back.
Winning teams never go into a rebuild phase, but they're always steps ahead to constantly retool. And it's not just a retool for the now, it's to be a couple of steps ahead. Do you want to win just one season and not see it again for 10 or 15 years? Or do you want to continue to be able to have financial flexibility to put talent around Carson and around Fletcher Cox on your defense be able to build?
Well, that's why the draft is important.
Right, which is why you can't just look at right now in this season. You have to, if you have a chance to go out and get a playmaker and a guy who could step in and absolutely be a monster.
Brown.
No, I'm not talking about the draft. Fuck out of here with that nonsense.
You really want this?
I know. Brown. Damn. I hope they don't get Antonio Brown. Then I'm gonna have to take this shit. But no, absolutely. Like if you got a chance in the draft to make a move, like the Sixers did, go out and get Joel Embiid. He dropped. You didn't know he was gonna be there, but you're not letting him drop anymore. You go out and get him. You make the necessary moves to do what you have to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think as far as your Antonio Brown thing, I think he goes to the Niners, but that's just me. That's just me.
With no quarterback.
Yeah. The Niners?
Yeah.
They got Jimmy G. They invested in him. He's their quarterback. He played well the last 5 games of 2017. Very, very well. And I mean, he got hurt, week 4?
Yeah, you really didn't get enough of a sample size this year.
Week 4. That team has a lot of talent. They're not household names yet, so people don't realize it. That team has a lot of talent, and you guys on here know because I've been touting them for the last year. That has a lot of talent. I was high on, even when Paulie was here, I was screaming for George Kittle. I was saying this guy is an athletic freak. Yeah. He will be a tight end. Look what happened this year. They have so many absolute stud. You have Dante Pettis, who was my wide receiver 3 going into the draft last year. He is going to be a very good number 2 wide receiver. They added They still have Marquise Goodwin, who is one of the best deep threats in the game. Now they have a 1-2 punch of running back in Jerick McKinnon and Matt Breida, who are great fits for that scheme, just for that scheme, that zone scheme. On the defensive side, DeForest Buckner, who broke out this year and is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the draft. Solomon Thomas started to show stuff late in the year. Eric Armstead started coming to his own. Their linebacker that they drafted, why can't I remember his name anymore? The middle linebacker they drafted, Fred Warner, stud, one of the best defensive. He didn't get enough talk. There was not a lot of hype around him because the Niners weren't good. But Fred Warner was one of the best defensive rookies in the whole league last year. And then you still have Richard Sherman, who's still solid to good cornerback. They have Jaquiski Tartt, best name in football, by the way, at safety. They have talent on that defense. You add a guy like Antonio Brown, who absolutely fits that scheme, and you have Jimmy G, who, even if you don't believe he's going to be an elite guy, he's shown he has potential to be a guy.
Well, he should be for that,
for that money, for that country. He has, and they are all in on him. So I think he's shown enough signs to say that he can be like a top 10 guy at worst, like around that Matt Ryan kind of range. So I think that Antonio Brown could be that first missing piece to the Niners team, where if they get someone like him, and they have another good draft. By Lynch, John Lynch has been impressive at this GM, by the way.
Yeah.
Next year, with a healthy Jimmy G, that could be a very scary team.
Sure.
Need I add Joe Staley at left tackle, who's still very, very good, one of the best tackles. Mike McGlinchey, their first-round pick at guard, who's going to be moved out to right tackle. The other interior linemen that they have, who are now starting to get better, play better. That's a scary team, and I'm going to say it. Garrett Selleck, Brent Selleck's brother. No, he's he's an underrated blocking tight end. And he steps up as a number 2 tight end. You could do far worse than Garrett Selleck. So the Niners are.
I always see him catching passes all the time.
Yes,
I'll watch Red Zone all of a sudden. Okay, all right.
There's Selleck's brother. Yeah. No, I hear you. So I'm telling you, it didn't work out for them last year, but I still felt like they were a year away with a healthy Jimmy G. If they can get Antonio Brown, I'm really hoping they can. Because I think that team, it's a perfect fit. And he did, apparently
he's going to push for it.
When Greg Jennings sat down for 2 hours with Antonio Brown, he said he wants to go to San Fran. So if that's true, the cards are there, but we'll see what the Niners are willing to give up. But that's the team I'm pushing for Antonio Brown.
Point you made is interesting, though, where you talked about, does that put us in rebuild because it's the new norm? I think that's the misconception a lot of fans have. Because like we said, you look back at the Patriots, how many guys did they let walk? It's never a rebuild for them. It's always about a retool. And what do they utilize? They use the draft. They find guys who are going to fit on. They never really sign the big name guys. They go through the second level.
Well, you see, they're getting rid of Flowers.
Right. They make moves. They may not have Gronk next year.
Right.
We don't know. There's a lot of question marks. But the Patriots are the Patriots. They go out. They never rebuild. They retool. You can look across all sports and all these teams that are consistently there every year, year in and year out. They make the tough decisions, and some people get pissed off. How are you letting this guy walk? How can you let that guy walk? It's a step back. But it's not, because then those teams consistently are there. Sometimes you have to take a risk in the draft, and you may hit it, you may not. But you pick out, all right, these are the guys that are going to get paid, and what are we going to do to fill the right guys around them? And I'm worried this season that if the Eagles don't go out and get Antonio Brown or get Le'Veon Bell, that people are going to look at this team, that Howie's given up, and they're just going through the draft as a rebuild. I don't think it's going to be that whatsoever. I think they're retooling the right way that they're going to need to. They'll find free agents, and I think that they are going to utilize the draft to prepare for now and going forward, which is what, again, New England does every friggin' year. Every year.
Eagles, it's so attractive, especially as an Eagles fan, that you're just so thirsty for that star caliber player.
Sure.
We want that wide receiver, that Terrell Owens type player,
sure,
and what he brought to the city and what he brought to the team. We want that back. And we're like, hey, it worked with him. How many catches during the Super Bowl with a broken leg?
9, I think.
You know what I mean?
9
like
catches.
he definitely made us in a position where we went that year. Okay.
Big factor.
And it's like, all right, well,
defense was good too.
It worked for us then. Why couldn't it work for us again? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So or with Bell as a running back, it's a name player. People recognize it. They, are attracted to that, and that's where they, base their ideal is if we're successful if we get that type of player. Mm-hmm. Not whether it's smart or not to take that player and put a whole bunch of different role players in there that still gets the job done. Like we did when we won the Super Bowl.
It's a good point. People only are casual fans are only attracted to the big names because that's what they know.
There's casual fans out there that want the Sixers to get Carmelo Anthony, who still don't know who Tobias Harris is.
Oh my gosh!
And are saying, why didn't they go out and get Carmelo? Oh, cool! I heard they made a good trade. Why didn't they go out and sign Carmelo Anthony? You're always going to have that. You're not going to please everybody. Sometimes there's a method behind the madness, and to continue to be successful, you have to do those things. I would be totally fine if they ended up taking him. Absolutely. Because you got to look at beyond this year. The 3, 4, 5 years that could be after that would be through the roof.
Wait, you would like to take Carmelo Anthony?
No, it's talking about Jeffery Simmons.
I was just making I'm like, hold up.
Good Lord. I don't even know if we'd make it 3, 4, or 5 days with Carmelo Anthony.
So I can take that 20-yard jump shot.
Yeah, I don't even think – I don't even know. How many games did Carmelo play this year? 9? 8, 9, 7? I don't know. Whatever it was.
Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
He's trash.
He is trash.
Yeah, no thanks on Carmelo.
Carmelo is trash. Like the Zach Morris's trash song.
Yeah, he's trash.
No huddle.
No huddle. Go first, because I
No huddle is just random topics.
Okay.
All right.
Topics you just spew out, yeah.
No huddle. I'm going to ask a question
go ahead.
here.
You go.
Okay. So Anthony Davis comes out and says, I don't want to play for this team. I want to go to this team, this team, this team, and this team, which really, to me, essentially is self-tampering. And the league wants to step in and say, you can't sit this guy. A guy who has openly said, I don't want to be in your organization. I want to play on these teams who are our competitors, teams that are in our conference. I don't want to play. But I just brought up another name. Why is it okay for Carmelo Anthony to sit? Why is it okay? Is it because Anthony Davis is a big money name, so the league is looking out for themselves, as opposed to Carmelo Anthony, who we're going to allow a team who made a decision to sign a terrible player for all intents and purposes, they can sit him out. League doesn't have anything to say about that. But because Anthony Davis is a big money draw.
All right. To be fair, Melo is, going on 40? And we're talking, if Melo was back in the Nuggets days, maybe they would have said you can't sit him. You know what I mean? Back in the day.
But that's my problem. There should be a consistent standard. It's Anthony Davis is a superstar. So there's money for the league, not just for the team, for the league, for this guy. We can't have him sit. But we're going to allow teams who make terrible decisions on signings. It's okay. You could sit Carmelo Anthony. You could sit J.R. Smith. And there's no repercussions for that. Guys who just essentially just aren't good players. It's okay to sit them. But because this guy who actually is a detriment to his team, who is self-tampering, the league's going to step in and intervene and say, no, you can't sit this guy. You can't sit him. Because there's a financial stake for the league in it.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it.
It's to me, either the league takes themselves out of it, unless they're doing something that's completely outrageous. The league either has no say in it, or they should be telling everybody, just because you made a bad signing doesn't mean you can tell a guy he's got to go home.
I mean, they got to be able to.
There has to be a standard, a uniform standard.
There's got to be some kind of control over, what they can do with their players, though. If you want to sit somebody, you should be able to sit somebody.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're in control. That's their, the contract that they're having, and if the player is not wanting to be there, Listen, I think they messed up by not making the trade, honestly. They should have traded him. He don't want to be there, okay?
You're saying to the Lakers?
To the Lakers, yeah. They should have made the trade. I offered him everything, and first-round picks, and just
But
everything.
I was
You're going to lose them anyway.
I was on your side, but I started looking at things in hindsight. They covet Jason Tatum. Absolutely covet him. And it is well known that Jason Tatum is a guy who has been in conversation and is on the board for Boston to get him in the offseason. So if you're the Pelicans, you don't have to worry about, after Anthony Davis is gone, you don't have to worry about everything Boston's going to have to do to convince Anthony Davis to stay. But if you can get that return, you get a lot more out of Boston, talent that's ready to contribute now and for the next coming years, than a lot of the question marks that is sitting in L.A. Other than Kuzma, every other name on that list was a question mark. Mike Beasley just signed in China today. Michael Beasley.
Yeah, I don't like the way that the Lakers are going right now, honestly. Especially with LeBron is.
They might sign Carmelo though.
My thoughts on LeBron right now is he's not LeBron anymore.
I think LeBron is LeBron, but LeBron he chose to have a lifestyle and is in a situation I think is a lot more difficult than he realized it was going to be to get it situated.
LeBron became bigger than the game. All right,
you can make that argument.
He's the coach, he's the GM, and he's the captain of the team. So it's LeBron's team.
It is.
Agencies, you know what I mean? Like he's running things, and it's hard to do that when you're a player on the team. How can you be a team player on the team and have everybody's best interest and be their leader when you're secretly saying, "Hey, let's get rid of this guy"?
Yeah, absolutely. And LeBron ties into the Anthony Davis thing. Not only is Anthony Davis saying he doesn't want to be here, he's meeting with LeBron and having conversations over dinner. It's well known that conversation happened.
I mean, he's definitely in Simmons' head. Ben's.
I think Ben is a Hollywood kid no matter what. I mean, I hate to say it.
So it
wouldn't shock me if Ben ends up in L.A.
I think he's easily influenced to LeBron and his career and his popularity and everything that goes with it.
Despite the Sixers being able to offer Ben more than any other team, you think Simmons leaves?
I don't think Ben leaves if we win a championship before he's ready for his max deal.
Better fucking win.
But
we need to sign him early and not wait until that contract.
Will he sign though?
But I do
we'll
worry.
Find out what he is then.
Yeah.
But then we can trade him if not and get something for him.
I do think that Ben, on the low, has a little bit more of an ego than we think he has, and it wouldn't shock me because it is very glaring that this is Joel Embiid's team.
Oh.
And this will always be Joel Embiid's team as long as he is a Philadelphia 76er, which we hope is his entire career. And it does concern me that the influence of seeing of being tied to LeBron and that potential of, hey, man, you could come to L.A., be my heir apparent, and take over the Lakers, and it can be your team. That does concern me. He loves the Hollywood lifestyle. It's very apparent he's a TMZ walking video clip or a snapshot for the paparazzi. So I do have concerns. I think there's a lot of concerns and red flags with Ben staying here. I think that this team can be successful without Ben, particularly if you can re-sign Tobias Harris, which I think they will. And if they can keep Jimmy Butler, I think that will definitely soften the blow. And I think they'll continue to build, and they'll continue to find talent that's going to want to come here. Guys are going to want to play with Joel Embiid who play at a high level.
Yes.
So, if Ben goes elsewhere, I absolutely could see the Sixers making moves to get another guy who could end up being another max guy. He may not be a Ben Simmons, but, he could be I don't want to say Westbrook. He could be a Kemba Walker maybe or somebody else on a different level.
You just need a guy that's going to put up at least 10 assists a game and can shoot the ball.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have to be a generational talent, but he could be one of the best talents. Yeah, but he could be one of the best talents in the league.
You got Butler, and JJ ain't going to be around.
Yeah.
But, you got those guys.
I mean, technically the Sixers, they don't mind paying a luxury tax. I'm thinking JJ is going to be around next year. They can pay him whatever they want.
I like to see the guy.
Sixers went years and years and years with paying no money, and I think I believe a lot of what's been put out there that they have not pocketed the money per se for themselves, but sat a lot of money to the side knowing when they finally got to this point that they can go for it, they were going to reinvest that money into the team, and part of that was compensating for the luxury tax. So I could see I think that they will bring J.J. Redick back again next year.
And
I love JJ.
I've been saying from the beginning of the season and watching us when we lose the game, okay? Not it's all great when we win the game, but I've noticed the games that we do lose, JJ doesn't have a good game, and it almost circles around him whether he's having a good game or he's off.
So he's that influential.
100%. I feel that way. The games that we lost, you see him. He's putting up 6 points. He's going 2 for 9 for 3.
Well, do you think that has to do with the fact that in the games that we lost, they focused on our guys. They take them out, and JJ's the only one that can capitalize on those. Whenever Embiid is having a bad game or against Boston, Embiid almost always has a bad game, and then they take out Ben Simmons. JJ Redick is as the scorer on the outside on the perimeter. He's the only real one that can capitalize on those double teams that on the down low. So is that what the reason why you're seeing that? Okay, whenever JJ has a bad game, that's when the Sixers.
Well, see, I don't see. To me, what costs the Sixers a lot of the games they lose is turnovers. A lot of them come from Ben Simmons. A lot of them come from Joel Embiid.
Yes.
It's that. And it is when the defense takes the inside away from JoJo, he settles on too many outside shots. And they need to be an inside-out team. They're able now to spread the floor a lot more because you have a guy like Tobias Harris, who is a stretch four, who could play the inside, play the outside, open up the lane, and commands attention.
And he hasn't even been taking that many threes from out there. He hasn't.
No, but just the threat that he can step out there is huge.
Yes.
Having him, having JJ out there, having Jimmy, who can be hot and cold from the three-point line, but damn, when he's hot and he's shooting from the perimeter, he can be really damn hot.
Listen, it's a matchup problem when it.
Sure.
I mean, listen, it comes down to the Celtics, really, because that's like our sworn enemy.
And
we look sloppy against them every single time we play them.
When we played Boston and we lost that last game, it was a lot of. They looked like they had tired legs, and I'm not saying they had that going in. I credit a lot of that probably to the Boston defense. but they have to figure it out because they started falling back into old habits that they had before Tobias Harris and Mike Scott and Boban were there. And it was that allowing them to take the lane away, and now everybody's crowding the outside. Nobody's in the lane grabbing rebounds. JoJo's settling for 3-point shots that he has no business taking.
None.
He took that one freaking shot at the end of the first half. I'm like, dude, why? Like, you shouldn't be the guy out there shooting that shot from the 3-point.
I give him 3 a game. That's it.
I like the fact that he's got the moxie to just jack it up.
That's why I said 3 a game still keeps it honest.
But, right, and I agree. He should take 3 or 4 a game.
7, 9.
And if you start banging them down, then that's great.
If you're hot, you're hot.
You take them at opportune times, whether you're going to make it or miss it, like you said, to make them respect it. But he has to focus on the inside game.
Why?
And again, sometimes I think once the defense starts taking it away, I think he accepts that and then starts moving further and further away from the basket, which is not good for this team.
No, because he gets fouled a lot.
Harper's wife.
Look at the tweet. She's liking that tweet.
Oh, stop it.
She's like, oh, that doesn't mean she'll rock.
Let me see.
She'll rock. That doesn't mean anything. She just liked my
So Brodo just sent us, for all you listening, Brodo just sent us
from
a
this
picture.
is from
Breaking news.
Bryce Harper's wife.
From Britt Harper Peterson. She liked and she retweeted Andrew McCutcheon in a Phillies jersey with flames.
But wait, there's more.
You
Tomorrow.
don't feel like this could be something that they're just fueling the fire with, though?
Absolutely.
Oh,
When
my
the
God.
wife said it.
That's it's colluding.
Yeah, is it Britt Harper or is it Colangelo's wife that's cheating him out, Brian?
She's letting something slip.
Colangelo's wife.
She's letting something slip. She's like, honey, don't do
could
anything.
quite literally be a burner account with those flames out there.
honey, don't do anything. She immediately likes a post.
Oh my God. Oh my bad.
Oh, my name shows up?
Oh my God.
Oh, it's a sister. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Even more.
God.
Because she's
All right.
blood. It's more confirmed.
Yeah, but you didn't know that she really liked the Giants post tweet earlier, too.
She likes all of them. She retweets a picture of every single team.
Right.
Oh,
the
God.
show.
Yeah.
She's,
Did you see the Brian Dawkins tweet about Bryce Harper earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian Dawkins tweeted
Trying to
at Bryce Harper 34 or at B Harper 3407. No pressure. What say you? Though it may be true that there could be some good fits out there, but great fits, I can think of only one. Just saying, at Phillies. You even got Brian Dawkins in there.
Hall of Famer, Brian Dawkins.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Winner.
Yes.
I don't see his jersey over here.
Winner.
Yeah, we need him. We need him.
And people
Blame
are
Tom
already
Brett.
freaking out on Twitter about Bryce Harper's sister. It's already happening.
I heard she's hot.
Dude,
we
you
looking it up?
had me thinking that it was the actual breaking story.
Right on birds of a
Oh,
feather.
my God.
I got to look her up. All right.
This is what we
It
do.
is what we do.
Yes.
Anyways, all right. So no huddle, mine. So I don't know if I'm the only one that feels this way, and I've had this opinion for years.
Yes, Chucks, you are.
Okay. So the dunk contest was this past Saturday.
Okay.
And again, I watched it while I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, and again another lackluster dunk contest. I thought it was pretty. Like, you had maybe 1 or 2 dunks that were like, oh, okay, but like beyond that, I don't really. It didn't really jump out to me, and that's been the case for years. Like, there's no, like, I won't say I'm a casual fan of basketball. I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm somewhere in the middle. After football season's done, that's when I get more into hockey and basketball. But like for years, it hasn't had the same type of pull or like interest from me. And to me, the dunk contest won't ever draw my interest until they start getting these big name guys
I agree.
to be in it.
I
That's
agree.
the draw. Because for one, to me, we've seen almost anything that a player can do in terms of dunk contest. It's not so much like it is about what they do now. Of course, like you're not gonna go out there and just do like a simple 360 dunk and play that off as as a legit like dunk you can do in a dunk contest. You have to be creative still and provide some great dunks. But I think the emphasis has to start to be on, I want to see these big name guys, the stars, go up against each other because I want to see who has the bragging rights. I mean, you have the guys that were in the league. Who did it that one year? Was it 2000 when it was Vince Carter, Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady? I mean, what was one of the best ever? It was Michael Jordan going up against now his name is escaping me. Wilkins, yes. Like, that's iconic because they were both
iconic.
So, like, you need to me, like, the All-Star game is what it is.
So you didn't think Diallo's dunk over Shaq with the Superman on his chest was awesome?
That was good. That was one of the ones where I was like, that was good.
That was fucking great.
No, that was good.
I disagree. Okay? Wholeheartedly. Okay? I don't like when a second player is on the floor for a dunk competition. It should be him by himself making a move. I
will say the jumping over a person has gotten way too outplayed.
But how many people have dunked over Shaq? Like literally dunked over.
Well, that's
Shaq.
why I said it was good, and he did the.
And he got all his way with his arm all the way in there.
So that's why
that's
I said
impressive.
That was good. I thought it was a good, but the fact that was the best dunk of the night. That's troublesome to me. Like, you need stars, and I'm always gonna feel that way. You need stars in these things.
It's a shame LeBron never did it.
It's a shame to me. It's a shame.
His whole career.
It's an absolute.
And
shame.
now it's probably too late.
I understand that you're and I agree with you with that. I understand that you're saying stars, but it also does give an opportunity for young talent to be highlighted.
So
guys who never get a chance.
So mix it up.
And I would disagree that it should just be the players because there's only so much that you can do by yourself. It has to be tricks and gimmicks. There's not enough physically possible over a 25-year time span.
I will go see the Harlem Globetrotters and go watch the Professor during the X Games and all that.
I'm kind of in the middle because I see what you're saying. Like, tricks and gimmicks do have its place, but at the same time, I see what he's saying. Because when you have, I forget that one guy, his name, where he comes out in all like the pilot gear and the plane.
That was terrible.
It
was a paper airplane he jumped over.
Yeah, you're going to do that. So that's your great dunk. So it goes too far where people rely too much, and you want to see actual skill.
And what happened? He looked like an idiot and got made fun of online. If you're going to do something stupid, you get made fun of for it.
Yeah, but that shouldn't. There has to be.
No, what they need to do is they need to get rid of you get 20 attempts to do it. Like,
yes,
that's what they need to get rid of.
I honestly believe that if you miss that first dunk, you get a portion of your score tallied off.
And
I want to see the free throw jump.
I do miss that. The last thing we're going to wrap up, guys. But the last thing I want to add about All-Star Weekend, the one thing I do miss is I miss when they had the legend, whether it was the 3-on-3 they used to do or they did that competition with shooting. I miss when they had the legends, the WNBA player, and the current players.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that was one of their best things they ever did for All-Star Weekend, and it bothers me that they got rid of it. Great show.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on, brother.
We
had a great time.
Great job.
We'll have Rob on again. I hope you guys enjoyed talking with us today. YouTube fam, Facebook fam, all the fam. We appreciate all your comments. You guys drive the shows. Don't forget, we don't know. We might have weather tomorrow, so the fix is not on tomorrow night. We don't know about AM and the PM. I'm going to assume probably not. So if you are looking for those shows tomorrow, you can take a peek. Very unlikely either of those are going to be on with the weather. We're coming back at you on Thursday with Lazy Booking, Hockey Happy Hour. Friday, we're going to have Philly Sports Guys. Saturday, Hooligans. Sunday, Agree to Disagree. Monday, In This Very Ring drops in the morning. Then you have the Sports Hounds at night. And we will be back with you next week. We're the tag champs tonight. We will be back with you next week here on Birds of a Feather. Until then, guys, thank you to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer. Thank you to Scanzano Sports. Thank you to Specialized Physical Therapy. And thank you to the fam. Until then, be careful tomorrow if you're out in the snow, and have a good week.